lives are surviving. As one. Your health is your wealth. Hey, hey. It keeps you alive. Your health is your wealth. No one can deny. It keeps you alive. Your health is your wealth. Hey, hey. It keeps you alive.
Yeah, the time is 5 minutes gone past the hour of 2 p.m. right here at Omoluwabi Radio 87.7 FM. And the program you are listening to is Health Plus with your wonderful host, Omoluwa Adubu, your radio doctor. And what is Health Plus all about? Health Plus is a program where we educate and sensitize ourselves on how to stay healthy, body, soul, and spirit. Talking about various ailments, the common ones, the uncommon ones, the ones that we even know about that most times we don't really pay much attention to them. That is what Health Plus does to us. That is why Health Plus is right here, is the right program for you to always listen to. And talking about our topic of discussions, you know how we do it every day. On Tuesdays right here at Omoluwabi Radio 87.7 FM on the program Health Plus, we have the health discussion and we also have the health news. Moving to the health tips, and today is not going to be different because we have the discussion part with my wonderful host in the building with me this wonderful afternoon, and I'm also going to be bringing you some wonderful health news from the health decks. Okay, so moving on. If there were some ways to distract your mind from thoughts of fear so that you don't think about your stuttering, you would probably have no problem. If there were some ways to distract your mind from thoughts of fear so that you don't think about your stuttering, you would probably have no problem. And that quote is from Malcolm Fraser. Yes, that quote is from Malcolm Fraser. And today is International World Stuttering Day. So today we are going to be talking about stutters, which we also call the stammerers. Yeah, there's a lot of people that stammers, and we really don't take it as something serious. Okay, human philosophy tricks many into believing that they are alone in their fight, but millions are fighting the same battle. More than 70 million people across the world stutter. This means 1 in every 100 you come across is living with this speech disorder. This number only makes up 25% of people who used to stutter as kids. Studies have shown that 3 out of every 4 children who stutter recovers at a later stage. Over 600,000 adults and 300,000 children under 5 are affected by stuttering in Nigeria. It is estimated that about 1% of the world's population stutters, and about 5% of children go through a period of stuttering. And approximately 80% of children who begin to stutter ultimately stop stuttering. And children who continue to stutter into the school age years are likely to continue stuttering throughout their lives. Males stutter more frequently than females. The males to female ratio is roughly 4:1 in adults, but closer to 2:1% in children. International Stuttering Day Awareness is a global healthcare event celebrated on the 22nd of October every year to spread awareness about speech disorder characterized by dysfunctions in fluency, known as stuttering or stammering. Stuttering occurs through involuntary word repetition and temporary challenges in producing sounds or word, among other symptoms. And on this day, various local, national and international organizations comes together to consider several events, media campaign, educational activities and online resource to raise awareness about the difficulties faced by millions of individuals dealing with stuttering. This year, 2024, the International Stuttering Day Awareness theme is the power of listening. And with me in the studio this beautiful afternoon is a speech and language pathologist, Mrs. Omotolani Olasoji Ali Balogun. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm really, really glad to have you.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here also.
Okay, so now talking about stuttering, can you just give us a brief explanation on what stuttering is and how it affects an individual?
Okay, so like you rightly said the other time when you were explaining what you were explaining, you said that fluency is basically a disruption in the flow of speech. So whatever it is that disrupts the flow of speech, it's what we call stuttering. That's why we call it a fluency disorder. And then most times they are characterized by repetitions, prolongations, distortions, and blockings, or even interjections. So you can hear someone say, you just hear or you say, I mean, in the middle of so many words. So that's what we call interjections. And then when we say repetitions, we are saying something like, instead of saying apple, you're saying apple. So it could be repetition of a sound or a syllable. That's basically what stuttering is about. And when you say how it affects individuals, stuttering in its own sense affects individuals differently. It affects children different from how it affects adults. So because children are children, right? They don't really see any biggie. They're just talking. They only get aware when you point it to them that, oh, why are you stammering? In Yoruba we say akololo, and they say, why are you stammering? Why are you doing this? That's when they become aware of
what they are doing.
You understand? So they basically do not even find it so difficult until they become aware of it, until they become conscious about it. So in that kind of way, then it can start to affect the way they communicate, the way they, they socialize with friends and the likes. But for adults, adults are quite different.
Yeah.
They've been aware of it all their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So most times you see people that just like to stay by themselves. They don't like to associate themselves with their friends or with peers. Most times they have low self-esteem. Sometimes they have low self-esteem. But even though they can, do more, but because they have the challenge of speaking confidently, some of them just want to be by themselves. So, like I said, it affects people differently. So for some, it could just be the area of not being able to socialize. For some, it could be an emotional place that is being injured in them. For some, it may not even be so much of a big deal. Yes, people know how to handle these things differently. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. So what is the cause of the stuttering actually? Because it's not that you just wake up one morning and then you start stuttering.
Of course. Okay, so I will be very sincere.
Okay.
The cause of stuttering, like every other speech disorder, is unknown. What we can only say is that it is neurological in nature, meaning it has to do with the brain.
Okay.
You understand? But then we can draw so many buttons. We can draw so many lines. We can dot so many lines. Like you can know that it can be caused by genetics.
Okay.
It can be learned.
Wow.
Yes. So if you have someone that stutters, or people that stutter, if you're around people that stutter, you will not know when you begin to stutter. It can be learned, but not as an adult. Not really like as an adult.
Okay.
Maybe more as a child and the likes.
Okay, so that means it depends on the kind of associates the child grows with.
Yes.
Okay.
And then let me also add this before we go far.
Okay.
So, like you said recently, just now, some children undergo stuttering at a particular stage of their life. But then, stuttering is usually outgrown. Most of the time, it is outgrown until the child becomes very conscious of it. Then it stays. So I have friends that, have children and they're like, oh, Tolani, my child is stuttering. What can I do? Doesn't need therapy. I just say, can you please leave that boy alone? Just let the child be. And don't be so hard. Don't be so hard on him. Don't make him so conscious. You can help out sometimes. You can correct sometimes. You see when the child is trying to say a word like ball, and then you just say ball. calmly, and then he says ball. You see, it's different from hey, what are you doing? What's that? This, that, and then the child becomes so conscious of the way he speaks. That's when it stays in a child. So that kind of thing can also cause permanent stuttering when a parent or adult make it so important, so big in a child's life. It can cause permanent stuttering when a child is supposed to basically outgrow it. So like I said the other time, genetics, I also said it could be neurological factor.
Yeah.
It could be learned. So many things can cause it, but majorly, I must tell you the truth, the causes are unknown.
Okay. So while you were talking earlier, you said the way the adults experience stuttering is always different from the way the children experience stuttering. Like, what actually is the difference?
Oh, yeah, I pointed out the other time. I said children are just children, right? Or most times until you make them aware of something, they may not really take cognizance of it. You understand? So a child may stutter, although they know that something is wrong. They may not really feel so bad until they start getting bullied, until they start getting, shushed. Like, okay, if you know what you're not saying anything, just keep quiet.
Yeah.
You understand? That becomes a problem. You understand? That's when it becomes a problem. So from that stage, if a child can be controlled, if all of those behavioral modifications can be controlled, you see that it's different. But like I said the other time, for an adult is completely aware of what's going on. You understand? They are very much aware. So they can, like I said, sometimes they find it difficult to socialize. Sometimes they find it difficult to have emotional stability. Sometimes they are shy. Not always. I'm saying sometimes. Sometimes, because people are different. Sometimes they are not maybe bold enough. Sometimes they battle with self-esteem. Sometimes they even battle with depression. I'm talking about adults now, not children. Okay. You understand? So that's it.
Okay. So talking about these stuttering and the likes, we know that stuttering actually affects people's social lives and every other thing. But how does it impact someone's life? Is there a way, like, because everything that has positivity has negativity. Yeah, so now you've talked about the negative aspect of them finding it difficult to socialize and every other thing. But there should be some ways to actually make them comfortable in their own zone, because these people will actually get employed, and they can't just keep quiet when something bad is going on in the organization. So they want to express themselves, or maybe when they feel they are being cheated, they want to express themselves. So are there any ways at which they can actually, if not necessarily talk, are there other ways whereby they can use to express themselves so that people can know that this is how this person is feeling?
Okay, so I would say that when you see someone that stutters, or when someone stutters, it's only advised that they see a speech and language pathologist. Okay. Because only then can they get help, the help that they desire. Yeah. Stuttering can be helped. Yes, it's more like a permanent thing, but there's something we call stuttering index. When we assess someone that stutters, we see your rate at which you stutter. Maybe is this 70% of the time? Okay. In therapy, we try to reduce it, and I have worked with people hand in hand where I have helped them reduce their rate of stuttering. I'm not promising that you wake up one morning and then you will not stutter. You understand? But I have seen categorically that speech therapy reduces the rate. Speech therapy can possibly reduce the rate and give you more control about how they stutter and the whole thing, and your whole stuttering index and the likes. So aside getting help, maybe in the midst of getting help, you're getting help and all of those things, there are other ways that you can, mostly for immediate communication. Okay. I would say talk. Just talk. The world will be fine. Like the theme for this year's The theme for
for
this
this
year
year is
International
power
Awareness
of
Day. It's
the power of listening.
listening. You see, we need to get to a place where our disorder does not limit us, right? Where we can teach the listener how to actually listen. And not just shush us. You should be able to speak up for yourself. People should not just be able to shush you when they want. They need to learn how to listen. So yes, you stutter, yes, you do this, but still talk. I still express yourself. I prefer it when people stammer and their stammering is so bad. Yes, than when they're not talking at all. And they just keep to themselves, and then then
the anger keeps boiling, everything just
depression
comes
keeps
in.
setting in and the likes. That's when it becomes terrible. So like I say, just talk. Now when you cannot talk, we have speech generating devices. We have technology has gone far a bit,
Yeah.
Technology has gone far. So we have speech generating devices that you can use. You can type, and then it comes out as speech.
Yeah.
You understand? And then there's a way you can control your breath in a way that all of this are learned in therapy anyway. But there's a way you can control your breath that you can, give immediate relief and reduce stuttering almost immediately. You understand? There's a way you can control your breath. And I have since found out that if you try to reduce the rate of your speech, you tend to speak better. Stutters tend to speak better because most time they are just rushing their speech. They're trying to get to the end of the sentence. You understand? But then if you can just take your time, breathe in, breathe out, and then just take your time, calm down. You don't need to be nervous. You don't need to be angry. Just take control of your emotions
and everything.
And then you can find immediate relief for that moment. But it does not remove the fact that a stutter should see a speech and language pathologist for an assessment. You get an assessment and you get help. There are different kinds of help that you can get in speech therapy for stuttering. Different kinds that have been proven to help over the years. Okay. So talking about getting help, so what are the kind of therapy or treatments that are available for them, and how effective is it? Is it? Okay, so there are a number of therapy options that therapists use in helping stutters. Like I said earlier, breath control.
Okay.
So there is a way we train breathing to go in such a way that aligns with speech rate. You understand? So that's one. Number two, speech rate reduction, like I said earlier, also helps. Now there's something we call cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, in speech and language therapy. It's also one way that we use to help different kinds of speech disorders, and stuttering is not different from it. So that's there. We have devices that we can help. There's so many ways in speech therapy, and I tell you, they are effective. I've seen these things work. You see, I like to say therapy is not magic.
It's
therapy,
a gradual process.
It's a gradual, like every kind of therapy. Therapy is a gradual process. So by the time you measure the index rate at which you stutter in the first month, and then you put it to the sixth month, you understand? And you see that, you've come a long way. Even you may not
You're seeing the improvement.
Yes. So will it be effective? 100%. 100%.
Okay.
There are so many effective therapy interventions to use to help persons that stutters.
Okay. So people that stutters, actually there is always a myth. There's always a myth about everything that goes around, and they be like, people that stutters, this, this. Like, can you talk about some common myth and misconception that people have about stuttering? Because like most people, when they see a stammerer or someone that stutters, they tend to mostly make jest of them. So can you just what are some common myths and misconceptions?
Okay, so common myths and misconceptions that I know about. The first one I want to talk about would be that you can never get better. Stutters believe that they can never get better. I've worked with a number of patients that stutter, and most of the time they are surprised that at the end of the day, or at the 6th month, 7th month, 8th month, there is so much improvement. And I mostly ask them, okay, why did it take you so long to seek help? And they're always like, oh, they didn't know that they could be helped. You understand? They didn't know that there's a treatment therapy option, there are therapies and the likes. So my first misconception is that people that stutter shouldn't believe that they cannot be helped, because they can. You understand? So that would be my first misconception. Now, my second misconception would be that people that stutter are not, they are not smart. They are not smart. They can be very smart. You see, being smart it has nothing to do with stuttering. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. So people believe that, oh, no, it's just there. It's probably because he's a dullard. He's a dullard. That's why he stammers. Or because he's stammering because he's a dullard. Or they just relate your intellectual capacity to stammering. You understand?
Possibly because he's not confident enough.
You understand? So there are so many misconceptions like that. And there's a misconception of, oh, if a father stutters, then definitely his son is going to stutter. No, it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like that. It's not always that if your father stutters, then definitely the child has to stutter.
But when you were talking, when I asked what are the causes, you talked about genetics,
right? Yeah, I said genetic can also be a cause.
Okay.
It is not always a cause, right? It is not always a cause.
Okay.
So for instance, a child that stutters, that has a father that stutters, we can help them. We can help them even from that childhood. You understand? We can help them even from childhood to control the way they speak and control their speech rate and the likes. Okay. You understand?
Okay. So we'll be going on a commercial break now, and when we are back, Health Plus right here at Omoluwabi Radio still continues with your wonderful host, Eboluwa, your radio doctor. Don't go anywhere because I will be right back.
Thank you.
It keeps us surviving. Tara's one. Everybody for you.
My Sabi people, how una dey? Na Sabi people they listen to Sabi Radio. Omoluwabi Radio 87.7 FM. Na dem be Sabi Radio.
Hello?
Hello there. I'm at the hospital right now because the kills are seriously ill. I've been on a long queue and the doctor is here to attend to me. I don't know what to do again.
You know what? How about the numbers I gave you while leaving?
Oh, the e-Dokita numbers?
Yes.
Call them right away. They will attend to you immediately.
Hello?
Darling, just like magic. Junior is playing. Even Princess is eating like an adult.
You know I've told you to calm down. Our family is covered with e-Dokita Premium Plan. With eDokita, you have access to healthcare at your fingertips. Stop wasting your productive hours while waiting in the clinic for doctor. Subscribe today to any of eDokita plans and enjoy online chat and call consult, laser therapy, medical outreach, and home care services. Simply dial 0704 714 2000 or 0701 000 8670. Log on to www.edokita.com or visit us at eDokita, number 2 Ocean Street, New Bodija, Ibadan. eDokita, inspiring wellness.
At break time, when my champ needs to keep going, he's going to need his favorite snack, made with the goodness of malt, milk, cocoa, and crunchy Niger-grown maize, containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
Break time is crunch time, so give your chance this delicious crunchy delight to keep them winning all day. Milo and Snacks, snack of future champions. Milo!
Without you, there will be no us. Thank you for listening. Omoluwabi 87.7 FM, the voice of integrity.
Thank you for the happiest year of my life. Thank you for the happiest year of
Your wealth, hey, it keeps you alive. Your health is your wealth, no one can deny. It keeps you alive. Your health is your wealth, hey, it keeps you alive. Our health is our wealth, it keeps us up. As one. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Okay, welcome back from that commercial break. The program you're listening to is Health Plus right here at Omoluwabi Radio 87.7 FM, and I have my guest in the house still with me, Mrs. Olasoji Omotolani. She is a speech and language pathologist, and what we are discussing today right here today is International Stuttering Day Awareness. So we are talking basically about stutters. Okay, now how can teachers and parents support children? You know, while you were talking, you said children actually outgrow it. So now, what supports can parents, teachers, or the caregiver use to support their child who stutters, especially in social and academical settings?
Hi everyone, thank you for that question. Okay, so usually the first one I would say is that they shouldn't make it so much of a big deal, especially for children. So teachers need to understand that just like every other kind of speech disorder, just like every other kind of disorder, you're not supposed to rub it on the face of the child. You're not supposed to make the child so much conscious of it to the point that he has so much self-awareness that, oh, I'm stuttering now. You understand? So teachers should be better listeners. Teachers should be better listeners. If you must help, you help lightly. You help kindly. You don't shout it on the child. You don't, try to shush a child down because you're trying to correct the child. You understand? So this is not just about teachers, but even parents. But I spoke extensively about parents the other time. So for teachers, most especially, most teachers do not know, and they just, they can be so angry. When one teacher is taking like 20 kids in a class, and then one wants to communicate and is
taking like 5 minutes to
taking 5 minutes of her time already. Naturally she wants to just shout and say, "Oh, what is it you want to say? Can you go back to your seats?" It's very wrong. It is very wrong. So if teachers can be better listeners and can, correct kindly, if you must correct at all, you understand, correct kindly, just help the child out lovingly. The child should not feel hated or the child should not feel a kind of way that limits the child in any kind of way. So I would say that basically teachers should be good listeners and teachers should help kindly. Just be kind about it. Don't be so stern. Don't be so harsh. You understand? Don't be like that. Don't be like that. So if you must help, like I said, help lovingly. Now, when I say help, it depends on what the problem is. So for some children, you see that they have they have so much pressure in the first word, in the first sound of a word. For some children, like I say. So if they want to say ball, they can say, or let's say apple, because so they can go apple. So if the teacher can just help and say and then they finish it up, apple, you grab. So and then they are saying something like apple. Can you say that again? Apple. You see, there's no pressure. There's no. You see, a child is helped that way. A child can be helped that way. You understand? So aside teachers, we can also have parents do things like that. I see, I'm already giving you tips in speech and language intelligence.
Okay. Moving on. So, what does the early intervention, when it is being discovered, does the early intervention actually really helps a long way, or maybe the early intervention just leave it like, okay, the child will just outgrow it, like just leave the child alone, or the therapy like, okay, let us intervene immediately?
Okay, so this is it. Early intervention is always key. For whatever speech disorder it may be, early intervention is always key. So when you have a child that stutters, and then you see that, okay, this is not genetics, and you see that, oh, it's taking more than 6 months, and this child is still stuttering, doesn't seem it like is supposed to, is outgrowing it, then you can seek help. You understand? I'm talking of age 5, 6. You grab. So you can seek help. And then a therapist, a speech and language therapist, knows how to come in without making the child feel like there's a problem with the child. You understand? We are trained in that kind of thing. We know a way to come in where the child still feels loved, still feels like everything is normal, and then we just help the child. You know, there was a quote you read earlier. You said, if you can take your mind off certain things, then you would most likely speak fluently. So it's almost like that with people that stutter. So if you can just, there are so many ways we as speech pathologists help children. So if you, as a parent, you're concerned that, oh, why is my child stuttering? It's taking too long, then you should seek help. You seek early intervention. Early intervention.
Okay. All right.
I hope that's clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So what is the average success rate of speech therapy in improving stuttering, and what are the factors that influence the treatment's outcome?
Okay, so one factor that influences treatment outcome is consistency. For almost every kind of speech condition, we need to be consistent in therapy interventions. So you don't want to come for therapy today and not come tomorrow. So, let's assume that we have 12 sessions in a month that you're supposed to do. Say 12 to 20 sessions, and you're doing 5.
You're not helping.
How do you expect to, improve that way? For each therapist has like a time frame that they work with, that they just, measure how fast your recovery and then steps we have a way of doing these things. So consistency, like I would say, is key. Consistency is key. Then having a good speech and language pathologist. You understand? One thing I have noticed about individuals, especially adults, is that once they do therapy for 1 month or 2 months
and they are seeing improvements, they tend to run.
No, not even that. They are not seeing improvement. You understand? In the second month, they are like, oh, I'm just wasting my money. I'm just wasting my time. But why can't you just push it for 4, 5, 6 months and see if you not see a difference? You understand? So if you see a difference, of course, they want to stay and see more difference. You understand? Sure. But when they see that, oh, there's no difference, oh, I'm just wasting my time, they're not really doing anything. How do you want to be helped when you not let us help you? You understand? So you're saying that what are the success rates? What is the success rate like? Yeah. Personally, I have seen people move from a very high stuttering index to an averagely low stuttering index. So what is the success rate? The success rate is quite high. You know that everyone tends to stutter at a point. You understand? So if I measure your stuttering index rate, I'll probably see a number that I can work with. So, but if we can reduce it for people that have high numbers now, if we can reduce it to close to average, then the person is fine. You understand? So, does it have a high success rate?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Does speech therapy have a high success rate? I've always said it does. I'm not saying, like I said earlier, I'm not saying you wake up one day and
you just stop it
and then you just stop stammering. No, but I've seen people that have been helped, and we can still help a whole lot of people.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Before we continue, we'll be taking some health news, and I'll be going to the health desk for now. And the first health news I'm having here says Governor Bala advocates establishment for polymerase chain reaction center in Bauchi. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has advocated for the establishment of a functional polymerase chain reaction center in Bauchi. The governor requested the federal Minister Ministry of Health and Social Welfare to assist in facilitating the establishment of the center to improve the state's capacity in the management of infectious diseases. The governor made the request at the opening ceremony of the 2024 ministerial retreat of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare held at the Event Center, Bauchi. Bala Mohammed noted that despite having qualified staffs and molecular laboratories, Bauchi is currently taking samples to Gombe State, resulting in delays and increased costs. The governor, represented by his deputy Mohammed Jatua, also appealed to the Federal Ministry of Education to facilitate the inclusion of health training institution in the third fund's intervention in a move to enhance healthcare training in the state. He said that his administration has understood the importance of collaboration among stakeholders to build a healthy and prosperous nation. Hence, it remains open to partnership with the federal government, international donors organizations, NGOs, and private sectors to save lives and enhance the well-being of the citizens. Another health news here says health reform. Commissioner lured stakeholders, partners in Zamfara. The Zamfara State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Aisha Anke, has urged health workers in the state to be proactive and dedicated to their responsibilities, saying she acknowledged stakeholders and partners for their desire of the health sector in line with sector-wide approach in the state. In a statement issued by the Information Officer of the Ministry of Health, Sulaiman Aisha, said the commissioner disclosed this during a 4-day workshop held in Sokoto. The commissioner acknowledged all the stakeholders as key to the state's desired aim to revitalize the health sector in line with the sector-wide approach in the state. The workshop was aimed at harmonization of Zamfara State Health 2025 as the MDA level on the annual operational plan to revitalize the health sector in the state. The commissioner, who was represented by the permanent secretary, appreciated Governor Daudu Lawal for his continued support to the Ministry of Health and the health sector in the state. Okay, moving on. The question I would be asking, the question now is, are there some coping mechanism or self-help techniques that you can practice on a daily, day-to-day activity, like a stutter can actually practice on their own if they, coming for therapy, they've been for therapy, because I'm sure that the therapy is not an everyday thing.
Oh, it could be.
Okay. So, are there still some personal help? They can, some personal help techniques or daily practice that an individual that stutters can actually employ, I can do this myself, let me do this, then maybe when I come for my therapy, then you'll be able to assess and then grade.
Okay, so that would be breath control.
Okay.
That would be breath control. And that would be breath control.
Okay.
And that would also be trying to reduce the rate at which you speak, your speech rate. So instead of speaking very fast, you can just practice speaking slowly. You can just practice speaking slowly, maybe in front of a mirror. Just practice speaking slowly, and then breath control. Although these are things that you learn in therapy, and then especially breath control, you learn it in therapy. There's a way you can, align your speech flow to the way you breathe. That it helps to reduce stuttering rate. Also, in therapy we use music. You notice that nobody stutters while they sing. Nobody stutters while singing. So that's because music is the part of the brain that's responsible for music. is quite different from the one responsible for speech. So it's so much better that music can help in reducing speech therapy, but also it is learned in therapy. I can't just be saying things here because you may not even get it. You will not even understand it. So how can they help themselves at least before they get help? You can practice staying calm, breathing properly, and then reducing your rate of speech while you see a speech and language pathologist. So from there, you know how to go. Your therapist will help you navigate your condition in such a better way to, help yourself.
Okay. So talking about this year's International Stuttering Day, Awareness Day, the theme, the power of listening.
Yeah, the power of listening.
Okay. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah. So the power of listening, I would really like to say that we all need to learn to listen. But we shouldn't be so much in a hurry to shush people that stutter down, or just try to correct them, or try to say something, or try to interject whatever it is they're saying. Why can't you just keep quiet and listen to them? Let them say all the things they need to say. Let it take 5 minutes. Stay and listen. That is when they can build trust. That is when they can build emotional stability, especially with someone that listens to them. That's why some people, they would rather stutter at home and then get out and then keep quiet, because the family has built a safe haven for them to be comfortable in and stutter and do whatever it is. So imagine having a world where people don't try to shush you down, people don't try to bring you down for stuttering. You can just be comfortable, and it helps. Being comfortable, being emotionally stable, all of those things, they help to improve speech conditions. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Okay. Before we continue, we'll be going on a commercial break, and when we are back, Health Plus still continues right here at Omoluwabi Radio 87.7 FM. And by then, I'll be opening phone lines if there are any questions that my listeners might want to ask my guest. So I'll be opening the phone lines by then. So don't go nowhere. It is still Health Plus right here at Omoluwabi Radio 87.7 FM.
Our health is our wealth. It keeps us surviving.
The voice of integrity, Omoluwabi 87.7 FM.
At break time, when my champ needs to keep going, he's going to need his favorite snack, made with the goodness of malt, milk, cocoa, and crunchy Niger-grown maize, containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
Break time is crunch time. So give your chance this delicious crunchy delight to keep them winning all day. Milo and a snack of future champions. Milo!
Hello?
Hello there. I'm at the hospital right now because the kills are seriously ill. I've been on a long queue and the doctor is here to attend to me. I don't know what to do again.
You know what? How about the numbers I gave you while leaving?
Oh, the e-doctor numbers?
Yes.
Call them right away. They will attend to you immediately.
Hello?
Darling, just like magic. Junior is playing. Even Princess is eating like an adult.
You know I've told you to calm down. Our family is covered with e-doctor premium plan. With eDoctor, you have access to healthcare at your fingertips. Stop wasting your productive hours while waiting in the clinic for doctor. Subscribe today to any of eDoctor plans and enjoy online chat and call consult, laser therapy, medical outreach, and home care services. Simply dial 0704 714 2000 or 0701 000 8670. Log on to www.edoctor.com or visit us at eDoctor, number 2 Ocean Street, New Bodija, Ibadan. eDoctor, inspiring wellness.
Cholera is a deadly disease that spreads through contaminated water and poor hygiene. Say no to germs with Hypo. Disinfect your home and drainages with Hypo bleach. Wash hands frequently. Stop open defecation. Wash your toilets with Hypo toilet cleaner. Together, we can prevent the spread of cholera.
87.7 FM, using the airwaves to bring you happiness.
Because I'm happy. Clap along.
is more than your regular dial. 1000% of pure entertainment. 1000% of current news. 1000% of informative talk. 1000% of everything. 87.7 FM, the voice of integrity.
Vegetables, they're really good. They'll give you energy. You should eat them in a meal 3 times a day. Carrots, broccoli, spinach, even peas. Look at all the colors. It's what you need. Healthy eating makes you wanna dance.
Okay, welcome back from that commercial break. It is still Health Plus right here at Omoluwabi Radio, which is 7.7 FM, with your wonderful host, Ebumoluwa Adubu. You can also call me your radio doctor, and my guest is still in the house. Yeah. Okay, so we've been talking about the International Stuttering Day awareness. I will be talking about stutters, especially people that stutters, people that stammers. Yeah, these people, we have them around us. You might not even know, but we actually do have them around us. Because they do not express themselves doesn't mean they don't know how to express themselves. They're only finding it difficult because most of the times they tend to lose their they tend to lose their courage. They tend to be scared, like, okay, if I am to talk right now, it might take me forever to express myself, and the next thing people will just tell me what it is I'm trying to say, and they'll just leave the person alone. Okay, in case you want to ask any question from my guest, the numbers to call are 0704 700 7999, 0704 700 7999, or 0805 388 8933, 0805 388 8933. Okay, moving on with the questions. I want to ask, what are the supports that families, communities can give to a relative that stutters, and the person, let's say, to a child that stutters, or to a family member, an adult that stutters? What are the supports?
Okay, so the main thing I would say is to listen. Like the theme of this year's
the power of listening.
This year's international awareness is the power of listening. There is so much power in listening. We may not know it, but it does a lot for people that stutter. It does a lot for them. They feel safe. They feel trusted. So you're not always coming. You're not always interjecting. You're not always, trying to shush them and all of those things. So one major thing I would say that the community and then people around them need to do so much is to listen appropriately.
Okay. So how can someone that stutters, how can they build their self-esteem, knowing fully well that most times they tend to be bullied even outside?
Okay, yeah, like I said, they should talk and then seek help. Seek help. There is so much help on ground for people that stutters. So by the time they seek help and there's a reduction in the rate at which they stutter, they tend to get their courage back. They tend to get, better emotional stability and all of those things. They socialize better and stuff like that. You get. So they do so much better when they get help. So like I said, talk. Don't be shy about it. Don't lose courage. Yes, the whole thing itself is courage, losing it on its own. But they just need to get to a point where they should talk and get help.
Okay. So what's your last word of encouragement to people that stutters, people that has a stammerer in the family?
Okay, so before I give my last encouragement, I would like to say that stuttering is a childhood disorder. Nobody stutters. Nobody begins to stutter as an adult. If an adult begins to stutter suddenly, then they need quick medical intervention. It has to be an underlying cause for something that needs an emergency situation, you understand? That needs an emergency rescue. So if there's an adult that just begins to stutter, all this I'm saying does not belong to you. You need to see a doctor fast, like ASAP. But for children or for adults that stutter from childhood and children that stutter from our childhood, my advice generally would be to talk. Don't feel terrible. Don't lock yourself out. Don't lock yourself out of the world because you cannot express yourself. Try as much as possible to get help. Be confident in yourself because the world will be fine. The world will be fine. You don't have to, you don't have to break your back. Yes, to get help, but at the end of the day, courage has to come from within. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you, Ebo.
Yeah. As my guest has rightly said, she said, seek help, get help, and you don't have to break your back. Just build your confidence. Like, yes, I can scale through. Okay. Before I wrap up the show, I'm going to be taking these health news that says giving children tasks above their age hinders brain development. Physician tells teachers. Children development experts have warned that assigning academic tasks that are too difficult for children could be detrimental to their brain development and impair their cognitive abilities. The physician cautioned that when children face tasks that exceed their capabilities, it leads to feeling of frustration and anxiety. According to them, this emotional stress could hinder their ability to focus in class and engage in learning. The expert also pointed out that when children continually encourage challenging tasks, it could create a negative perception of schooling and education generally. They emphasized that giving children difficult academic exercise was associated with failure, which they added could lead to disengagement and lack of motivation. Okay, this is where I'm going to be wrapping up the show this afternoon. Till I come your way again next week, Tuesday. Make sure your health is important to you and make sure you always put your health first. When I stand up right now, the next program you'll be listening to is Agbeloba with Onigege Wura. I call him Onigege of Gold because farmers, they are the wealthiest people right now. So he's having his pen bought in gold. Okay, so make sure you keep listening to Omoluwabi Radio 87.7 FM. Bye for now.
Hands and jump around and say